All right, Mel and Doris, we have a few other questions for you. Okay.
Rain.
Okay, now you're married. And
Yeah.
where are you living now when you first got married?
905 Norris Street.
In Washington.
It was a brand new house. We paid $12,900 for it.
All right.
Okay, that's where
And
I
then,
didn't realize that.
That's
You
52 years ago.
52 years
We
ago.
lived there when
Go ahead.
Ron was born. Ron was our oldest
Well,
child.
speaking of Ron, tell us a little bit about Ron when he was very little.
Ron was very little.
I can't really tell any stories about him. I mean, it was our first child. And, after that, there was 3 more. So I can't just distinguish
We'll have to
between
ask
him.
Carol and Jerry.
And
It was just
They
a
know
great
all about
experience
him.
having the first one.
I remember him going across the street and getting drum lessons from his neighbor boy, which was Greg Bolin.
Did he
And
play
then
with
he
Dean?
took lessons from him.
Huh?
And Doug, he fell asleep on their back porch and fell asleep
But
in Nelker's garage. And that was about it. We moved away when Corey was 1 year old. Not even quite 1 year.
All right, so at that first house, you had 4 boys.
Right.
What are all their names?
Ronald and Douglas and Randy Joe and Corey.
All right, so Ron and Doug were born first.
That's right.
So they spent a
15
lot
months
of
apart.
time together. Can you name one story that Ron and Doug did something tremendous together? The most memorable story of Ron and Doug together?
I remember Doug spilling his Easter eggs in the garage.
All right,
And all the little Easter eggs just
Can you
split
think
apart.
of a story of Ron and Doug together?
Oh.
Or maybe with sometime with maybe Ron and Doug and Mel.
Right, Randy Doug. And
Well, when we lived in this house on Norris Street, the upstairs wasn't fixed up yet. You have to know the house, but it was not fixed up when we moved in. So we did the upstairs, made living quarters out of it, had the bathroom up there and the whole bit,
Red, white, and blue.
And the kids were bouncing around on the beds, and I hope you're young enough to understand this, but one of the guys was, I think it might have been Doug. Anyway, they were bouncing back and forth, and they fell backward and hit his head on the bed, almost knocked him out.
That was Uncle Doug.
Uncle Doug, yeah. But,
And then what did Uncle Randy do in the bathroom?
Dropped his diaper down the bathroom.
He did what? And what happened when he
his
dropped his
tree-
diaper down
It
the
clogged
bathroom?
at the bathroom.
He did not. So what did you do, Mel?
He had to go
Okay.
down to Ace Hardware and open them up to get a new ring out for the bathtub so he could fix it in the middle of the evening.
And where were you, Doris?
Oh, just cleaned up the mess.
You were out bowling that night.
wasn't no mess yet. Till
Oh, I
were
didn't
just-
know that.
you remembered all that, didn't
I
you?
don't remember bowling. Oh, my. Oh.
Okay, Mel and Doris, we have a couple other questions for you. The first question we have for you is about your firstborn. Where did you come up with the name Ronald Weber?
Well,
Go ahead.
I think back then, my youngest brother was named Ron, and he passed away when he was only a year old. Beautiful guy. But, choked up. But
Anyway, our
we-
first son was going to be named Ronald because he was the next
first
next
Weber.
generation after Ronald Weber.
long story, but
Okay.
my brother Bob,
Cause-
Grandpa,
yeah, uncle.
or Bob was married before I was. Leonard, they all had girls, and I kept saying I'm going to have the first boy. Okay, when we got married, we had the first boy, and their boy came about 6 weeks later. So we did have the first boy. That's how we came with the name Ron. So we named him Ron.
So your older brother, Leonard,
Had 7 girls.
had 7 girls.
Right.
And you kept saying that you're going to have the first boy.
And he kept
And-
saying that
And he
over and
did.
over.
And
And
you're-
Levon was
But we were
born
married before
3
they
months
were.
before you were, and
Uh-huh.
it happened to be another girl. So that's why we kept after we was going to have their first Weber boy.
And your younger brother, Bob, also got married before you, correct?
Right.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yes. I was pregnant
And he
in
had
their
a,
wedding.
and he had a daughter.
And his firstborn was a daughter.
Girl.
Was a girl. Yeah.
And she was born 2 years before yours.
That's right.
She was married about the time we got married.
Okay,
Jen
so
was pregnant when we got married. Was saying-
Ronald, your firstborn, was named after your brother. What happened to that brother?
Oh,
Passed away.
Yeah, what happened?
yeah. You think about that. Yeah. Who is that Ron that we're talking about now?
Did you hear what he
He
said?
married. Are you
He
still
did.
on?
What happened to him?
He
No, the
did.
baby. Your
Okay,
Brady
he met this
brother.
beautiful girl named Marta.
No.
What
Little
happened
baby
to the
Ronnie.
brother?
Little baby Ronnie.
He died. I said this.
Yeah, I know, but
Oh,
what
okay.
happened to him? What was wrong?
Okay, well, he was sick from the day he was born. He was never really a healthy baby, you know. But he had measles when he was about a little over a year old, and he just kept getting sicker and sicker, and he finally died, you know.
Pictures of him.
So he's
Oh, it must have stopped.